The Warriors have been less than okay this season. They are dealing with a lot of issues. The A. Wiggins being benched, Jonathan Kuminga's doing all right, but you have Chris Paul averaging probably like the worst splits of his career. Stephen Curry's having a very tough time. We don't even want to talk about Klay and how Klay is really forcing up shots, taking bad shots and making a few, but missing a lot. And then Draymond is
Welcome back, and we never let you down. I said as soon as we find out, we would share it with you. This is a tweet that just came out. ESPN sources say the NBA is suspending Golden State's Draymond Green indefinitely. And before we have this discussion, I looked up indefinitely because I know we're going to talk about it. It means unlimited or unspecified period of time.
But just in general, the whole Warriors vibe, the team just seems disheveled. It seems like they don't really know what's going on, what they're going to do. It seems like it's a real force for them just to win a single game. And honestly, this is something that we're really not used to with a team that had their big three. And their big three is really all healthy. They have Chris Paul as like the backup guy for whenever Steph Curry comes out or Draymond Green comes out. And you're just really at odds with the fact that they aren't playing their best basketball when they're all pretty healthy. Now, some might say the supporting cast is not playing that great at all, but I actually argue outside of Andrew Wiggins, you have, you got Saric and you got a few other pieces on that team, but, they're not that much terrible than they were any other years past. They're pretty much the same team that's relying heavily on Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson shooting, and then also the defensive maestro of Draymond Green. I think what's really hurting them right now is the fact that they don't have like the third dynamic scorer like Jordan Poole once was when he was there, thanks to Draymond Green. And so now you're really reliant on making sure that if Steph Curry is not having a good game, well, then Klay Thompson has to step up. But Klay Thompson is not having a game, and then now you have to worry about your supporting cast not being able to score because they're not really that proficient of scorers. You have some pop-up shooters, but at the end of the day, it's really just it's a mess all around. And we're going to start with the person who's supposed to be leading this team to success, and that is Stephen Curry. Now, Stephen Curry has had a really off year this year in terms of he's not really consistent in his shooting that we've all expected him to be. And there are many games that he is just simply not hitting his shots. There are many games where he's hitting like 1 for 8, 4 for 12, I think like 5 for 13. I mean, these are not splits that you want your best player to be shooting, especially if this is going to be your primary scorer. And this is compounded onto the fact that the other teammates that he has is not scoring. And so I think what is happening with Stephen Curry is that he realizes that the team is in a weak state. Chris Paul is not playing the best. And so he has to score. And so because of that, he's putting a lot of pressure on himself that he normally would not have because he would have other people to take the scoring opportunities off of him and so that he can kind of relax and chill. But at the end of the day, nobody else is really scoring. The good thing, though, if you're just thinking about being a Stephen Curry fan and thinking about the silver lining, is that more likely is going to happen that he's going to be back to where his career splits. He's probably not going to have a great standout year, but he's going to be at least as average as he's usually been in terms of what he averages for his whole career. And so that is something that if you're a Warriors fan, you should definitely be comfortable with the fact that Stephen Curry is probably not going to average a lot of streaky games that he has been this season for the rest of the season. But then we have Klay Thompson as the problem number 2, and probably one of the biggest problems of this team. And the reason why is because, in the offseason, Klay Thompson he's on his contract year. He wants to be extended. He loves being in the Bay, and he loves playing with this Golden State Warriors team. However, there's a lot of things that are kind of making it a little bit more difficult for him to get the money that he actually wants. And we don't know as fans, I'm not in the room with him, we don't know as fans what exact amount that he's asking for. But you have to put it in perspective. He's been injured for the last 2 or 3 years. He just came back and he won a championship. But, right now, Klay Thompson is not the defender that he once was. And over the years, right, I don't know if many people have been noticing, but over the years, he's kind of taken different type of shots. Before he used to just, be wide open on 3, he would shoot it, or he'll come off any screens and he'll shoot it, or, even in the mid-range, come off the screens and he'll shoot it. Not really that much dribbling or anything like that. But, and he's still doing that to a certain degree, and that's still where a lot of his points come from. But when he actually tries to take a dribble and takes shots off the dribble, he's not really getting that much separation. He does a lot of bump fades where if you're going to actually bump somebody, you would at least expect to have some type of separation, but he's simply not getting that separation. And so his shooting is very up and down. It's not the consistent Klay Thompson shooting that we expected from him. He's not averaging, 22 points a game. And even if he was, he's probably not going to average that consistently. His efficiency is way down. His plus minus is not as good as he usually was. And then we have to talk about defense because he just simply seems like he's slow. He's missing a step. And this is not to denigrate him or anything like that. He is coming back from 2 major injuries, and I still think he's still in the recovering process and making sure that he's going back to being 100%. Many people think just because you come back, that means you're 100%. No, you're just good enough to play. And that a lot of these rehab processes, even after you're back on the court, takes even years after the fact that you're back and healthy for you to really be the person that you once was. But then you're actually fighting against time, and Father Time is undefeated, as we all know. And so Klay Thompson taking difficult shots, making difficult shots, but he can make the shots easier. Every time I see him, he shoots these fades, and it's fine because he's a phenomenal shooter. But you're not getting that much space. You're not getting that much separation, and you don't really need that much. But a lot of the shots that he's taking, it's just tough. It's difficult shots to make. It's difficult shots to take. And if you can make those shots a little bit easier, like coming off of more screens, being more active on the off ball rather than trying to do something on ball, I think that he'll go back to the Klay Thompson that we once know on offense. But defense-wise, I don't know if he would ever get back to the defense type of player that he once was. And speaking of defense, the person who's supposed to anchor this defense, Draymond Green, has also kind of slowed down a step. He's not as fast as he once was. He's a little bit slow to maneuver over, and he's taking more fouls on the defensive end. And so he's not able to, be the defensive anchor that he once was. And then now you have to also think that one of the problems with Golden State, not just with the fact that they don't have like a center, because they do have a center. They do have, Kevon Looney. However, the issue is that the team unexpectedly has a lot of turnover from people who aren't, necessarily the main players. And when you have that, and you have like the people who have stayed, Andrew Wiggins, who I'll get to later, is simply not playing good basketball. You're not gonna have like a pretty cohesive unit. The people who need to really click in on defense, and they're gonna get Gary Payton back, but it's looking kind of tough. But the biggest elephant in the room when it comes to Draymond is that he's emotionally unstable.
Same to see. Glad Nurk is all right. Never seen that before on a basketball court in an NBA game. I hope Draymond gets the help he needs. It's been incident after incident, so I know Draymond, and that's not, he hasn't been that way when I was around him and coming into the league. So hopefully he gets the help he needs and get back on the court and put all this stuff behind him.
We've all grown accustomed to Draymond Green's antics and how he's extremely excessive, especially in a lot of things that he does. But I feel like in the last couple of months, especially in this season, it seems like everything has just been a little bit amplified than what we even thought to be for Draymond Green. And I don't really know what that issue is, but it all started with, Klay Thompson and his scuffle with Jaden McDaniels and how that just led into Rudy Gobert getting choked out. So here's the thing. Every time you look back at these situations, you look at it from, 2020 hindsight perspective. But every time I look at that situation and I see where Draymond Green started and where he ended, it just seems like he wanted to have that excuse to choke out Rudy Gobert. I know that he came out saying that, everything happened so fast in moments like that. But it just seems like, Rudy Gobert slightly got there. Like he is the moment he got there, Rudy Gobert, that's when Draymond Green just snapped. And that, I think, comes from just years of just wanting to do something to Rudy Gobert. He's easily not one of the most liked people in the NBA. He's probably the most unlikable person in the NBA. And I don't think that's because, of his own merits or of his own personality. I think many people think unfairly that he is not that great of a defender and he shouldn't have gotten all these defensive players of the years. And then also the fact that he gets paid, quite a pretty penny for him to play defense. But however, since the NBA is so uniquely talented with a lot of players, if a team scores a lot, especially in the interior, everybody's going to think it's your problem. But you do need to look at the game and actually analyze what is the coverages, what is actually happening. Because Rudy Gobert, for by all means, is a really, really good, one of the best defenders in the NBA. But Draymond Green does not care about that, because when Draymond Green went over there, he went immediately to choke Rudy Gobert, and it was just psychotic. But then he gets what he needs. He gets, suspended for 5 games, and then he's back on the court. And we all thought we got at least a couple weeks, maybe even a month before Draymond Green does something. And then Draymond Green does something again, where he does a spinning back fist, like it is Tekken. Like it is a fighting game. He does a spinning back fist, flails his arms, and hits Nurkic in the neck. And Nurkic drops to the floor. Probably a little bit of a flop, if we're going to be honest. But, you still got hit with a spinning back fist. A spinning back slap, I guess. But you get hit. You're down on the floor. Draymond Green even understood. He didn't even try to protest it or anything like that like he usually does. He knew he was in the wrong. But it's just stuff like that, and I think a lot of people are babying him like Steve Kerr.
Draymond, I think it's an opportunity for Draymond to step away and to make a change in his approach, in his life. And that's not an easy thing to do. That's not something you say, okay, we're going to do 5 games, and then he's going to be fine, right? The league did that, did 5 games after the incident with Rudy. That's not the answer, to pick a number. The answer is to help Draymond and give him the help he needs, give him an opportunity to make a change that will not only help him, help our team, but help him for the rest of his life. It's not just about, an outburst on the court. This is about his life.
But at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, this is something that he's always been known to do. This is something that he's always been true to his game, true to his heart. We all know that he's a very passionate guy. He's one of the best defensive pieces on the Warriors. But at the end of the day, what is the best ability? And that is availability. If you're not available for whatever reason, and he's almost never unavailable for health reasons, he's almost always unavailable because he lets his emotions get out of whack and actually gets technicals that is actually justified, especially in the league where so many technicals are drawn out because of referees is being absolutely crazy. He actually gets the most justified techs, in my opinion, especially with the way that he be screaming at referees every single game. You kind of think about it and you're like, what is going on with Draymond Green? I have no idea. That man is he's on a rampage, and it doesn't make sense because it's all you have to do is play basketball. Yusuf Nurkic out here thinking that there's something wrong with the guy. KD's out here thinking that there's something wrong with the guy. And it probably is, because nobody normally would do the type of stuff that Draymond Green is doing. And then you have Andrew Wiggins, who, already is one of those underdog success stories, especially coming from being one of the number 1 draft picks and then, having his career kind of fall off and then come back and is not live. And now we have the reality that he just got benched. And he got benched simply because he's just not playing well. And when you're A. Wiggins and there's not that much pressure on you, you just have to make your shots and do whatever you got to do within the offense. You're not playing well, you're getting benched, it's not that good. The only great thing coming from the Golden State right now is that Jonathan Kuminga is looking like that guy. He's looking like the next piece. But right now, as I see it, the Golden State Warriors is not looking great. They might make the play-in tournament because the West is, I don't think the Houston Rockets is going to really stay the course. And a few other teams as well. But right now they're in the 11th place. And my only worry is that if they continue to go in the direction that they're going, this is going to be the last season that the Big Three, as we know, is going to stay together.